let's get to the Bush Summit. Next one is going to be in Darwin tomorrow. Looking forward to hosting that. It'll be both on the main Sky News channel in the morning when Laura is hosting Newsday, but also it'll be in full on the Sky News Extra channel. But let's go back a couple of days to the Prime Minister in Victoria, Ballarat, beautiful Ballarat, where of course we were for an Our Town not that long ago. And he came face to face with people who had had enough. They've had enough of the rollout of the renewables, which happened in the bush to make people in the city feel good about themselves. Nobody in the Prime Minister's electorate is campaigning against these things because none of these things are happening in the Prime Minister's electorate. The farmers were fantastic in the way that they were willing to push back and push back loudly. Now, you may well have noticed that there was an event of heckling which took place inside the room. And why not? This is the joy of an Australian democracy. I love that we live in a country where you can yell at the Prime Minister. No, you can't yell anything too wild, but that's fine. But you can yell your opposition to government policies. You may well have seen part of it, but you probably haven't seen it in full. Here is it in full from the Bush Summit on Friday.
Now someone wants to build a coal-fired power station, they can go and do it. It hasn't happened. It hasn't happened because the market's determined that it doesn't stack up. We need,
ladies and gentlemen,
we do need energy, and the cheapest form of new energy is renewables. Climate change, the science told us that climate change was real.
Ladies and gentlemen, we'll have to stop if you keep interjecting.
See the pivot there? We're off into the science of climate change. The reality of the choices that have been made by people in the city means that people in regional Australia are having to bear the brunt of hundreds of thousands of solar panels and tens of thousands of wind farms. Put simply, parts of the Australian bush are being ripped up because apparently you need to destroy the physical earth to save the atmosphere. And even then, 1% of the world's problem is Australia, yet the solution seems to be one that causes an awful lot of trouble while it is being built. Not just the disruption, but the cost. Power bills, successfully, have been going up and up and up over the past 3 years. The Prime Minister was able to win an election because, of course, they pretended that they were coming ever so slightly down because they were paying the power companies not to hand on the power price increases. As the last month of inflation data came to us via July, electricity was up 13%. Yet they still say it's the cheapest form of energy. Of course, if you point any of this out, you are called a heretic because in many ways, this conversation is past logic. The way they like to say that Donald Trump is post-truth, well, many of the people when it comes to this issue are also post-logic. You're dealing with faith. You are not dealing with anyone who is interested in any way about seeing what the consequences of their decisions are. And the people who are having their properties ram-raided with these things have every right to be peed off, as anyone would be in the city. In fact, if you did anything to limit by 1 square metre a dog park in many of the electorates with the greenest or tealest of MPs, you know what the reaction would be. So there is well and truly a city and country divide. But again, you could tell that the heckling was starting to get under the Prime Minister's skin because, well, the swear words came out. Now, unbelievably, the reporting of the swearing did not exist on the 6 p.m. news. I don't know why. Well, of course we...
And I'll continue to engage, but I won't bullshit people. I won't come along and say, we're going to do something with new coal-fired power stations when it didn't happen. And I'm not going to come along and say the solution is something that might happen sometime into the 2040s.
Now, the reality is that this bloke is there for the next 3 years, given 94 seats in the parliament. He would think that he's going to be here for the next 10 years or so. And one of the reasons why he is going to be around for quite a while, whether we like it or not, and this program would be the leading one that is not a fan of Anthony Albanese nor his government. We warned you when they were in opposition, we pointed it out when they were in government the first time, and we warned Australia going into the last election. But one of the things that let us down was how bad the Liberal Party was in the social media game. Put simply, Labor creamed them for a whole bunch of different reasons. But I've got to say, something seems to be changing inside the way the Liberal Party is working, because within a couple of hours of the Prime Minister saying he's not going to BS anyone, the Libs put this out on social media, and I'll say chef's kiss and compliments to whoever came up with this. May there be plenty more over the next 3 years.
But I won't bullshit people. I won't say reducing power prices by $275. I won't bullshit people. For cheaper electricity. I won't bullshit people. Households will benefit by $275. I won't bullshit people. Cheaper energy bills.
Authorised by Ahurst Liberal, Canberra.
What about that? Written and authorised by the Liberal Party, and it had more BSs than I have delivered in the past couple of months. And you know how much I love swearing, certainly off the telly and certainly when I'm north of the border, in places like Queensland and the Northern Territory. Meantime, Jacinta Allen, the Victorian Premier, well, she did not enjoy the experience, seemingly, of being confronted by the people who are most screwed over by the variety of decisions made by the Victorian government. 1, the bugger all compensation. 2, the potential penalties for pushing back. 3, the capacity of the Victorian government to essentially fast-track and ignore many of their locals and their pushback. Here's part of the heckling that she copped at the Bush Summit in Victoria.
Families, farmers, small business owners too, many are doing it tough. Some of it is because of nature. Some of it is because of nature. The bush gives you something you simply can't find anywhere else. The fresh air, the quiet, the space. And that's why also we're supporting renewable energy projects as well that are driving investment.
Look, we heard this last week. Can they drop this talking point that the reason all of this goes in regional areas is because there's more sun and there's more wind there? Anyone who has been anywhere in Melbourne at any time of their entire life would know it can blow a gale, well and truly, inside Melbourne. So the idea that no, it's all got to go further north, it's got to go into Ballarat, it's got to go into Bendigo, please. Pull the other one, it plays Jingle Bells. But in terms of the protest of the farmers, the good news here in terms of the what's next is they're not giving up, and they're going to target Jacinta Allen, who actually is in an electorate that is affected by these decisions.
Farmers and fireys say their fight isn't over yet. They're planning an even bigger protest in Jacinta Allen's Bendigo electorate in 2 weeks.
We've had a gut full of Jacinta Allen. She is a train wreck, this woman.
Determined to be heard.
Now, there is a state election which is happening next year. Now, I believe that there is a very significant number of people who live in and around Bendigo, in and around Ballarat, and in fact many areas that currently have a Labor MP in regional Victoria. For some reason, despite this obvious frustration, the Labor Party at the federal election was able to hold on to everything, in fact grow the number of places that it had in Victoria. In the lead up to the next Victorian election, these groups need to get on the ballot. They need to actually have an option that regardless of whether you are from the left or from the right or from a fed-up centre, that you will have a candidate on the ballot in each of these seats to try to dislodge the current MP. Now, I hope that what we believe to be a significant number of people, if not the majority that live in those electorates, that it will be enough to change the game. Imagine the Labor Party losing its sitting Premier because the people in and around Ballarat had had enough of Jacinta Allen and the decisions that she has made. Now, it may feel like there's a very long way between now and that election, but believe me, if you are going to be trying to run from the outside, then you need all the help you can get. You need a name as soon as possible, you need an idea as soon as possible, and you need the volunteers to start knocking on doors. Put simply, you need to follow the Teal playbook here, but do it for a completely different reason. Let's see whether that happens, and I hope it does happen in the lead up to the next Victorian election. Otherwise, they're just going to keep steamrolling. As disgraceful as that is, and people can get as angry as they want, but you need to get together to link arms, to join a movement, and to change the local MP. Because frankly, political power is the only power that these people actually notice. It's over to you now, and I think there's a good chance they are going to be able to do something. Whether it's enough, we'll all find out together over the next year. I certainly hope that it is.